Hi, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about sunscreen. Sunscreen 101. I have been getting a lot of questions from coworkers, friends, my daughter's friends. A lot of people are asking me about Retin A, how to start Retin A. And so my first question is, tell me about your skincare and what kind of sunscreen do you use? And I am hearing a lot of, well, there's sunscreen in my makeup, or I wear sunscreen if I'm going to be outside. So that made me think I need to do a sunscreen 101, because before you start Retin A, before you even think about, anti-aging serums, the number one most important topical treatment that you can do, not only for the appearance of your skin and the long range anti-aging of your skin, but for the health of your skin, the number one most important topical treatment is sunscreen. So let's dive into sunscreen 101. My preference is mineral sunscreen. There's two types of sunscreen: mineral sunscreen, which is a physical sunscreen, and chemical sunscreen. My personal preference has always been mineral sunscreen because I have found chemical sunscreen to be irritating to my skin, as well as it makes my eyes very, very irritated. And because I've been a very loyal user of Retin A tinted mineral sunscreen for so many years, I have a lot of personal experience with other types of other sunscreens. Now, some of my friends and family don't want to either shop online or go to a dermatology office or spend the $35 that the Retin A costs, and so they were asking for recommendations for other sunscreens. And so I've done some research, I've tried some other products, and I'm going to share what I have found. I have found some really excellent mineral-based sunscreens that are much more budget friendly. Before we even get into the mineral versus chemical, there's two types of sun rays that we need to protect ourselves from. UVA equals aging. UVA rays are responsible for the photoaging of our skin, as well as the hyperpigmentation that can sometimes occur from the sun. UVB is burning, okay? So in order to have a broad spectrum sunscreen, you want to have both UVA and UVB protection. Now, when a sunscreen talks about SPF, the protection factor, it's talking about how long you can be in the sun before your skin burns. So SPF really measures the UVB protection. It really doesn't measure UVA. And we want to have UVA protection. So number one, you would look for broad spectrum. And number two, you're going to look for ingredients that specifically protect against UVA rays. Let's talk about chemical sunscreen first. Chemical sunscreen, the pros is they're easy to use. They're very elegant. They blend onto the skin very nicely. They soak in beautifully. The negatives are they do tend to be sensitizing not only to your skin but to your eyes. They can clog pores. They do break down, so they have to be reapplied every couple of hours, as well as we are finding out that some of the chemical sunscreens can A, absorb into your bloodstream, and B, they're not very good for the environment. If you are going to use a chemical sunscreen, the ingredient that you really do want to look for, the ingredient that protects against the UVA rays, the UVA aging rays, is avobenzone. Okay, so if you are using a chemical sunscreen, make sure it has avobenzone. There's many chemical sunscreen chemicals that you will see in sunscreen. Make sure you look for avobenzone. I'm not going to be recommending any chemical sunscreens because they're not my preference and I don't have any. So today is going to be primarily about physical mineral sunscreens, which I'm super passionate about. So let's first talk about the pros and cons of mineral sunscreens, because there are some cons as well. The pros: mineral sunscreens provide a physical barrier between your skin and the sun. The sun rays sort of bounce off the physical sunscreen, and so it does not absorb into your skin at all. Physical sunscreens work immediately. You don't have to apply them 15 or 20 minutes before sun exposure. They provide immediate protection. They don't break down. Yes, they do need to be reapplied, but not as frequently as chemical sunscreens. As well, they're very good for sensitive skin. They do not burn your eyes, and they do not tend to cause people to break out. They're not going to clog pores, etc., etc. The cons of the mineral sunscreen: number one, white cast. Number two, they can feel heavier and they can look sort of shiny and heavy. So there's two types of mineral sunscreens: zinc oxide and titanium dioxide. Now, zinc oxide protects against both UVA and UVB. Titanium dioxide only protects against UVB. So I look for a mineral sunscreen that has a minimum of 10% zinc oxide. You will see various combinations of these two. Some sunscreens only have zinc, which is fine because zinc does protect against both rays. There are some sunscreens that are higher in titanium dioxide, lower in zinc. My preference, again, is to have a minimum of 10% zinc oxide. And, usually it's a higher level of zinc and then a little bit of a more medium level of titanium dioxide. Now, my very favorite sunscreen, as you probably know, is Elta MD. Elta MD has 10% zinc oxide, 5.5% titanium dioxide. It also has niacinamide and hyaluronic acid. This is a beautiful, elegant, tinted sunscreen. It goes on the skin wonderfully. It provides a little bit of, not coverage, but a little bit of evening of the skin tone. And my daily routine is 2 pumps of the Elta MD with 1 pump of the CC cream. This is SPF 50. The Elta is SPF 44. Between the two of them, I get a really beautiful look. I get just the right amount of coverage, which is very light. It's more like a tinted moisturizer, BB or CC cream. And that's my everyday go-to. But not everybody wants to spend that kind of money. So again, we're going to be talking about mineral sunscreens. Before we really get into the mineral sunscreen thing, the number one thing to remember about sunscreen: in order to get the SPF that's listed on the package, you must use 1/4 of a teaspoon on your face, which is a lot. That's a lot of sunscreen. Most people, the number one mistake with sunscreen is not applying enough. And I'm going to show you just how much a 1/4 teaspoon is and what that really does look like. Okay, that's a 1/4 teaspoon. Okay, let's see what that looks like. I mean, it's a lot. It really is a lot. That is a 1/4 teaspoon. That is 3+ pumps of the Elta MD. That's a lot. Again, most people just don't use enough to give them the appropriate sun protection. I like the Elta MD pump because I know that if I use 2 pumps of this and 1 pump of this, I am using enough. Okay, let's get back to the topic at hand. Okay, so we've talked about the pros and cons of chemical. We've talked about the pros and cons of mineral. We've talked about you must use a 1/4 of a teaspoon. Let's get into some of the sunscreens that I have found that I am very happy to recommend. Like I said, not everybody wants to spend $35+ on sunscreen, so I have found 3 budget mineral sunscreens that I think are very comparable to the Elta MD. In fact, I'm wearing them today. The first one is a new sunscreen. You know, I love CeraVe products. And CeraVe has recently come out with a 100% mineral tinted sunscreen. CeraVe has had various sunscreens in the past, chemical sunscreens. None of them have worked for me. They sting my eyes, irritate my face. So CeraVe did finally come out with a tinted mineral sunscreen. It's drugstore priced. It's $15 for how many ounces? 1.7 ounces, so a little bit less than half of the cost of the Ulta MD. It's tinted. It's lovely. I like it a lot. It dries down nicely. It works well under makeup. It doesn't ball up. It looks nice on its own. This does have slight, I don't know, it's a very warm tone. It does not provide coverage, but this tint will not work for probably the most fair people because it's pretty warm and it might look a tad bit orange. So that is the CeraVe. New product. I really like it. It's very reasonable. If the tint works for your skin tone, I think that's excellent. Let's look at actually, the CeraVe is pretty much a dupe for the Ulta MD. 10% zinc oxide, 5.5% titanium dioxide. It also has niacinamide, and it also has hyaluronic acid. So literally, it's formulated pretty much the same as the Ulta MD. It's a little bit thinner in consistency, and it's a little bit more warm in tone. But I would say it's a pretty close dupe, and if the color of this works for you, highly recommend it. The other sunscreen I did purchase and I tried, and I really like it a lot. And I heard about this from Dr. Dre. She had a recommendation of this. This is the Coats Flawless Complexion Tinted Sunscreen, SPF 50, nice high SPF. This is 20% zinc oxide. It does not have any titanium dioxide, but that's okay because zinc oxide will protect against both UVA and UVB, and 20% is a really high, nice percentage. This is very, very lightly tinted. I would say it only enough tint just to reduce or minimize the white cast. This is lovely. It's very silky on the skin. It dries down nicely. Today I actually I believe I have the Coats on this side and the CeraVe on this side. I applied them. I let them set and dry down for about 10 minutes. And then I applied a very light coat of my Physician Formula Healthy Mix Foundation. They're great. I highly recommend both of them. Of the two, I'm really torn. The Coats is about $15 for 2.5 ounces, so this is the most budget friendly. The CeraVe is about $15 for 1.7 fluid ounces. My Ulta MD is $35 for 2 ounces. So these are literally half the price of the Ulta MD, and they're readily available at Target, Walgreens, CVS, Ulta. Very easy to find. So for those of you who want a budget-friendly, mineral-based sunscreen that does not have a heavy white cast, feels good on the skin, is moisturizing, works under makeup, I highly recommend either one of these. The other sunscreen that I used a lot in Mexico, and I use this a lot in the summer when I'm gardening, when I'm at the beach, and I just want to be able to apply a lot of sunscreen, is this SunBum. It's 20% zinc oxide. It does have a white cast. There's no tint to it. It's a little bit greasy, but when I'm gardening, kayaking, and I just want some super heavy duty sunscreen that I can apply over and over again, I really do enjoy this SunBum. To show you the difference in tint, let me see, am I going to be able to shoot? Okay. On the top is the SunBum. You can see it's white, no tint whatsoever. The second one is the CeraVe, and I think that you can see that that is a little bit warmer in color than the other two tinted ones. This one here is the Coats, and then the bottom one is the Ulta MD. So I just wanted to show you the difference in the tints. On the skin, the Ulta MD probably has the most evening out. It does have a slight amount of coverage. The Coats really just has enough tint to take the white away, and the CeraVe does give your skin a little bit of a warmer tone. So this may be a little trickier again if you have super pale skin. Those are my top budget-friendly mineral sunscreens, and I am super happy that I found 2 more sunscreens that I can add into my sunscreen arsenal. Okay, to summarize, Sunscreen 101. Number 1, sunscreen in makeup is a bonus. You must use, in order to get the SPF that's advertised on the box or on the package, you need to use 1/4 teaspoon, whether it's makeup or sunscreen. If you are relying on your makeup for sunscreen, you're not getting enough. Sunscreen and makeup is great. Think of it as a bonus. The most important thing about sunscreen is to find one that you actually enjoy wearing, that you like to put on, that feels good on your skin, that you look forward to wearing it, because ultimately sunscreen should be worn 365 days a year. Rain or shine, it doesn't matter. We are constantly being bombarded with rays in the car, through windows, on the way from the car to the store. I do use my Ulta MD 365 days a year. Part of the reason is because I actually enjoy the way it feels and looks on my skin. So find something that you really look forward to wearing. Really, that's the main thing. I can't stress enough the importance of using sunscreen every day, using enough of it, and thinking of makeup as a bonus. If you have found this interesting, I really hope that you like, share, subscribe, and I hope to see you in my next video. Thanks, bye. The Coats, gosh, I hope I remember which side. At this point, they both work under makeup the same.